Hey, it's Nick Garcia, your favorite Austin real estate agent, and in today's video, I want to go over the most common repair requests when you're buying a home in the Austin area or anywhere for that matter. You definitely want to try to get these fixed before buying your house. It's going to save a lot of headaches, probably money, and every time you go into a house, especially when you're buying one, spending all this money, you've worked hard to save up. You want to have kind of a clean slate. You don't want to move in and 2 weeks later have to worry about fixing something. It's super annoying. You want you to just focus on moving into your house and making it your own. So a lot of these are going to be specific to Austin, but really I think they apply to anywhere in the United States when you're purchasing a home. And most of these are going to be discovered when you get, of course, like you always should, get an inspection. In Texas, we call this the option period. In other states, I've heard of it referred to as the diligence period. Either way, this is a time when you make an offer in a house, the seller accepts. Then it's time to make sure that everything is working as intended. So we're going to get a general inspection, and then from there, your general inspector may or may not recommend further, more specialized inspections, like we've had electrical or plumbing, septic if you're on a septic system, foundation, roof, HVAC, those are really common ones. And hopefully you can negotiate all of this during your option period. That way, if for some reason the seller's being unreasonable and they are not agreeing or they just don't have the money to make some of these repairs, then you can go ahead and walk away, terminate the contract, and then all you're losing is a few $100s with your option money. In Texas, we're doing like $50 to $100 a day, depending on the location and just the overall desire of the house. Like if you're having a multiple offer situation, you're probably going to go higher on the option period and fewer days. If it's just like a general, like home's been on the market for a while, $50 a day for a 7 or 10 day option period. The good thing is right now, especially in this market, if you're going to make an offer in a house, seller wants to sell, you want to buy, you're going to probably come to terms because, right now sellers are conceding and making, agreeing to a lot of these repair requests. So, it's very important to have a thorough home inspection, like I said, to identify potential issues or needed repairs. While the perfect home doesn't exist, even a newly constructed home, there can be legitimate repair requests that buyers can request the seller to address and fix. Understanding what constitutes a legitimate repair request is crucial when going back and trying to negotiate with the seller. So let's take a closer look at repair requests when buying a home. So legitimate repair requests. It's essential to differentiate between legitimate repair requests and those that may be considered excessive or unreasonable. Legitimate repair requests include structural issues, safety hazards, mechanical issues, along with, of course, health hazards. Let's take a look at some examples of legitimate repair requests and what a buyer can reasonably expect the seller to address before closing. So things like roof leaks, foundation issues, compromised load-bearing walls, which can be tricky because you want to make sure that if somebody did, especially in this like fix and flip DIY age, we want to make sure that an inspector can identify where a load-bearing wall potentially was removed. And a good way to do that is to look and see, try your best to compare square footage. And it'd be great if you could verify square footage by getting an appraiser or somebody that's able to measure, and square foot discrepancy is one of the first kind of red flags that you can do a little bit more investigating and see if there's any weird stuff going on. Electrical issues, mold's a huge one. If you go into a house and you feel it just humid, definitely get a mold inspection. Water damage, sewage or septic problems, pest, rodent infestations or damage they've caused, non-operational windows, loose hand railings, broken fencing, HVAC issues, that includes ductwork too, water heater problems, and of course any appliances, especially ones that typically convey, are either like a dishwasher or stove, if they need to be repaired or replaced. It's important to note that repair requests should be reasonable and necessary and not cosmetic or minor in nature. This goes for things like carpet too. either you don't like carpet or you want to replace it. A lot of times, especially a good seller, will have the carpet cleaned, and it's going to be really difficult to either have them replace that or even to get a credit to do LVP, wood, or tile, or whatever. The specific terms of the, for example, you're under contract and you have an inspection, you sit down with your real estate agent, you go over what you want to have them addressed. You want to be very specific when you are creating that amendment. Make sure your agent is very specific. And then you also want to have some just some wording that you want to see proof that they hired a reputable handyman, contractor, or company. And so you want to ask for receipts and proof that that work was completed by somebody other than the homeowner, unless it's something minor and you don't mind the homeowner doing that. Knowing this information will assist a buyer when determining what and if any repairs they should ask the seller to address. So that was an overview on legitimate repair requests, kind of just a high-level overview. You'll want to sit down and get very specific with your real estate agent. So now I just want to mention some not legitimate repair requests. Now, this isn't to say that I haven't gotten some non-typical repair requests. I've gotten carpet credits and just some things that I set the expectation that we can go ahead and ask for this because it's important to you, but this is cosmetic and it's one of those like not typical things, but it's real estate. So you want to go ahead and you don't get it if you don't ask, right? That's in all of life, and that goes for anything during a transaction. So items not considered legitimate repair requests, like I kind of mentioned, cosmetic items or issues that the buyer is already aware of. So in Texas, the buyer will provide you with a seller's disclosure, or at least they should. And then you can go over that seller's disclosure, and anything that is disclosed, you want to make sure you address that if it's important to you when you write the original contract. The seller is going to be upset, and the listing agent, if you have an inspection, it's been disclosed that the item is already in need of repair, and then you request it after the fact. You're in the option period. It's like, you want to have that addressed, and so your agent needs to be going over that seller's disclosure with a fine-tooth comb, making you aware of it. And we always take those seller's disclosures with a grain of salt, because most sellers, even ones that I have listed for, just kind of glance over it. And as agents, we're not really there to, if I see a hole in the wall, I can't tell them, don't forget to put the thing that disclose that there is a hole in the wall. So it's kind of hands off for us, but on the buyer side, it's not. We're like, I'm trying to find every little thing that is potentially wrong with this house. So things like cosmetic upgrades, normal wear and tear. Usually these are, like little scuff marks, things like that. Worn carpeting, dings on garage doors, like cracks in driveways or sidewalks, things like that. Like I mentioned before, known defects. You definitely want to factor that in the first contract, because then you'll just be pissing people off. And, you want to try to keep things as civil as possible during the contract process. The more civil you are and reasonable, the more likely you're going to have a smooth transaction, and on the buyer side, get things addressed that are important to you. Personal preferences, you're not going to be able to change the blue living room to a more neutral gray or white or something like that. Things like consequential repairs. These are requests for repairs related to issues that are considered normal consequences of aging, such as replacing a water heater unless it doesn't work, or a roof that doesn't have significant defects. If the roof is not leaking and functioning as intended, it's going to be difficult for you to get a brand new roof. So now you know what repair requests are legitimate, which ones are not so legitimate, and then with the understanding of if you want to request some not legitimate or not typical repair requests, then go in with the expectation of this isn't safety, this is very cosmetic, kind of a personal preference type of thing. So be okay with not getting everything taken care of. And you also just, don't want to piss the seller off, especially if you really like the house and it's just a couple of little things that are throwing you off. So a few tips for negotiating these repairs. They can be challenging just because, you are coming into a situation where the seller has lived in there for potentially a long time. They put their, you know, heart and soul. They have so many memories. So you want to, there's that fine line of not making them upset and also, you know, being reasonable on both sides. So you definitely want to prioritize, focus on the most significant issues that impact safety, functionality, value of the property, identify and prioritize those repairs as essential and that are kind of at the top of your list. Be very specific. You want to clearly articulate the requested repairs in writing, which we use amendments for that here in Austin. Providing detailed descriptions, supporting documentation, which we would take inspection report, the snippet from that particular thing that is deficient. Photos also, and then notes from the inspector. So we'd add those in with the amendment to kind of support our request. If there's something that you need to get a quote on for repairing, then you can, you know, a lot of times I'll just either I know because I've been in that already, or if my buyer wants a quote, then I can call a handyman. There's like a general, you know, like handyman charge $50 an hour, $75 an hour. If it's more, if it's something that more of a expert needs to address, then of course like a licensed master plumber, electrician, that's going to be significantly bigger cost. Definitely seek professional advice from an experienced real estate agent. So I've owned multiple homes. I've been involved in construction projects. So I have a really good understanding of what things cost and you know, timelines for addressing certain things. So hopefully you can find somebody that also knows a little bit of that too. Be open to creative solutions too, you know, it's or credits. So if it's something that you'll be okay with addressing yourself, or you'd rather, you know, ask for, if it's something like having the HVAC service, then you can say, you know, I'd rather just have that extra $500 or $750 as closing cost credit, then instead of having the sellers do that. A lot of times sellers don't want to deal with it. They've either moved out, moved to a different city. So they'd be more open to giving you a little bit more money on something that could be a $200 or $300 fix. You might be able to get $500 or $600. So just, I shot this video so you understand kind of the distinction between a legitimate repair request and one that is not so typical, or you might have a harder time getting a seller to agree to. So legitimate repair requests focus on significant issues that impact the safety, structural integrity, or overall livability of the property. Non-repair requests typically involve cosmetic or minor issues that are kind of part of a normal wear and tear of living in the house. So thank you for watching this video. I hope this was helpful. If you have any questions about the offer or buying process in Texas, just shoot me a comment or give me a call or send me an email. My information is in the description of this video at the bottom. Thanks so much for watching. Please hit that like button and subscribe to my channel for more helpful videos just like this.